I'm not like, oh, yeah, Nick Caserio cooking at Will and Dillon. So I think it's a shrewd move. I think it's a solid move. I think it's very Joe Mixon-esque, but I don't think that Christian Kirk is going to be nearly as valuable as Joe Mixon was to the Texans in 2024. Breaking news in the NFL, as reported by the always trusted, never doubted Deanie Rossini, the Houston Texans have traded a 7th-round pick for Christian Kirk. What do you think of the Houston Texans trading for Christian Kirk? Now, I am wondering the number here. Like, I don't know if the Texans have to pay this full number. I'm sure the Jags have to eat some of it. But his cap number next year, according to Over the Cap, is $24 million.
Yeah, I'm not fond of that. I hope that there's some kind of a negotiation so that number gets lower. I think that as a talent, especially because I think he's really good in the slot as your 2 receiver, I think that it's a good addition.
He's coming off the injury. What was the injury? Was it torn ACL?
I believe it was. Yeah, he obviously started his career with Arizona, went to Jaguars, had his first 1,000-yard season there. But the big problem, other than potentially the financial situation you're referring to, is he's a guy that doesn't stay healthy a whole lot. So you're probably hoping for 12 games and settling for 9. But he's a very talented player and easily. When healthy, their second best wide receiver right now.
So it wasn't a knee. He had a core muscle injury in 2023 where he missed the final 5 games, and they missed the final 9 games last year after breaking a collarbone while trying to make a diving catch. I actually think that's better that it's not leg related.
Yeah, bone versus soft tissue.
He's not losing like speed either.
Yeah.
Legs too, like lower body, but that also comes into play.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that he broke bones instead of pulling muscles. Listen to me, taking the low road.
Sounds like Eduardo stance there.
Remember whenever Kirk was signed by the Jags and everybody lost their mind? How is this guy getting that much money?
Because it was like $20 million AAV, I think.
Yeah, and then he had a good year, like you mentioned, 84 catches, 1,100 yards. No, I think this is – look, he helps. Christian Kirk added to this roster helps. This receiver room helps. I think Brian's point is right that you're probably assuming he's going to miss – at least 4 to 5 games with his last 2 seasons. His only fully healthy year was 22, his first year in Jacksonville. You gave up nothing, though. You gave up a 7th-rounder, so it kind of feels like Joe Mixon-y whenever they did the late-round pick swap last year. The contract number is what I'm kind of waiting on here, but as a football-only take, without the money ramifications and the cap ramifications, Christian Kirk clearly upgrades the Houston Texans wide receiver room.
Yeah, look, I like this, as you stated. I like everything about this except for the financials, and I hope to get good news on the financials and find out that Jacksonville is going to at least eat some of that contract. But I think that it basically tells you that he's going to be your number 2 receiver, that Stefon Diggs is probably out of consideration now, as all these other conversations about all these wide receivers that either are asking for trades or being cut and let go where you could sign them. I think that you didn't have to give anything up. I think that, thankfully, the injuries that he's coming off of aren't leg-related, because I'd be really concerned if ACLs and MCLs and other leg injuries are involved with a wide receiver. I think that this is a good move for them, and I think it's a move that's going to help them.
I would say is not a cap specialist here, so don't take my word as 100% true here, but I believe you're basically going to have to pay him his regular base salary. Like the signing cap or the bonuses and everything like that stay with Jacksonville. Like I'm looking at his 2025 cap hit according to Spotrac, and it's 16.2. And like I'm seeing his base is 15.5. I think it's closer to that than the 20+ number that we're seeing as his overall.
My go-to is always Texans cap on Twitter. Like I go there because I'm not smart enough to figure out the cap. I'm not smart enough to figure out Diana's name. So I always go to Texans cap. He tweeted 5 minutes ago, Kirk has 1 year remaining on his current contract with 2 void years behind it. He's due to earn $16.5 million in 25. Houston and Kirk hopefully have a revised contract in place. Well, that's interesting. Like, would you want to extend Christian Kirk? He's 29 years old, or you just want this to be the bridge?
Well, they've done that with Mixon. They did that with Diggs.
And Diggs. That's the concern for me. Like, let's just see how it goes before we get overzealous and try and extend him, unless you really feel like, one, maybe he's going to give you a hometownish discount because he played at A&M and he wants to come back to Texas and he knows the Texans are going to win. But I don't understand what you just got the guy. I don't know why, and I'm sure with the trade, he's probably already talking that the minute the trade before it's consummated. But I don't like the fact that the minute the trade's done with Mixon, with Diggs, and now with this, they're already looking at extension.
Well, I think the point to do that is to try to lower the number. Like it's not so much like we want Christian Kirk for 3 years. It's more, okay, Christian Kirk at 16.5 is tolerable. Like maybe we can sign it to a 2-3 year extension. And I'm talking about just a full length of the deal, not adding 3 years to this year. And then you spread the money out. Maybe you can bring that 16.5 down to 12. I think that is more the desire of the extension than like we must have Christian Kirk for 3 years. I think it's more about the money side of it. 16.5 is not terrible.
No, I can live with
Well,
that.
I like that a lot better than 24.
If Tutu Atwell's making 10, if we think that Darius Slayton's going to be somewhere with 12 to 15, Hollywood Brown was a guy that I was interested in because he's very, very fast and can take the top off the defense. Like if he gets somewhere between 10, 12, 15 million dollars, if we're talking about Cooper Kupp being traded for at 29, if he's not traded for, what does he sign for? 2022, 25? Like what is Adam signing for? 2022, 25? DK Metcalf is out here asking for $30 million. I saw DJ Anime's article today. Follow him on Twitter at DJ Anime, covers the Texans for ESPN and ESPN.com. You listen to him right here on ESPN Radio 97.5. He said that they would only be interested in Stefon Diggs if he signed for less money than he made last year, a hometown discount, which he made, 22 million last year.
Right.
So if we think that Diggs was taking a discount, that's $20 million. If Diggs is getting market value, that might be up to $25 million. So I don't think $16.5 million on Kirk is this astronomical figure. And then on top of that, you don't have to pay a heavy draft capital to acquire your second best wide receiver. I'm at a 6.5 with this deal. I give Nick Caserio 1.5 thumbs up.
See, I like it because of the other guys that you mentioned, not named Diggs, and I'm leery of Diggs coming off the injury and the price tag. But I think that from my standpoint, I think that Christian Kirk is better than Hollywood Brown. I think that Christian Kirk is better than a lot of the guys that you mentioned that are going to be on the market. And so for that and the fact that it's not the 24 number, if it's the 16 number, and maybe it's even going to be lower if they try to negotiate for a multi-year deal, I think he's a really good addition to this team, and you didn't have to overspend and give up too much in a trade on top of it as a double whammy. And so I like the acquisition.
Yeah, I think it's like I'm not over the moon. Like I don't think this is a 10. I'm not like, oh yeah, Nick Caserio cooking that Will and Dylan. So I think it's a shrewd move. I think it's a solid move. I think it's very Joe Mixon-esque, but I don't think that Christian Kirk is going to be nearly as valuable as Joe Mixon was to the Texans in 2024.
And it probably means the idea of Diggs coming back is done.